I'm Douglas Christensen, Channel X News.
In area news impacting us this Monday morning, February 13th, 2017, National Weather Service office in Caribou continues its winter storm warning for our area.
Winter storm warning remains in effect until 5 a.m. Tuesday. Locations: eastern Aroostook County, the Central Highlands in the upper Penobscot Valley. Hazard types: heavy snow along with significant blowing and drifting snow. Snow accumulations: 8 to 18 inches with the lowest amounts in the Presque Isle, Caribou and Van Buren areas. Timing: through tonight. The worst conditions are expected this morning through the day today. Impacts: strong winds will lead to blowing snow with whiteout conditions. Extremely hazardous travel is expected overnight through Monday. Winds: north 15 to 25 miles per hour with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Visibilities: 1/4 mile or less at times. Temperatures rising from the mid-teens into the mid-20s.
That's from the National Weather Service office in Caribou. Yesterday it was cold, the coldest so far this winter. The Weather Service says we dropped to 19 degrees below zero, the lowest temperature observed so far this winter at the weather office this season. You and some of your friends may be wintered out by now, but for folks in Fort Kent and in Clare, this is perfect. They are planning the 25th annual running of the Dogs next month. The organizing committee has set aside 3 weekends to celebrate the quarter-century mark for this sled dog celebration along the Maine-New Brunswick border. The festivities begin this coming weekend. Committee Promotions Advisor Berman Banville says over the years 1,500 teams and 15,000 dogs have taken part in the races that begin on Fort Kent's Main Street. These races have been witnessed over the years by some 100,000 fans. The events have been made possible by some 12,500 volunteers. This weekend celebration includes a parade and an auction of locally created art and photography. The races themselves are slated for Saturday, March 4th, beginning at 8 a.m., with a cash purse of some $40,000. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will be walking a political tightrope as he meets today for the first time with President Donald Trump. The two men have spoken together on the phone a couple of times since Trump won last year's presidential election. Trudeau has been staying clear of directly commenting on some of Trump's controversial statements and actions, such as a ban on travelers from 7 Muslim-majority countries. Last week, Trudeau said that he would be respectful in broaching areas where the two men disagree, and he pointed out there are issues where he sees eye to eye with Trump, such as creating jobs for the middle class. The opposition leader in Canada has offered to lend a hand to Trudeau in dealing with the Trump administration. In other news, Maine State Police say officers shot and killed a man and a woman after a pickup truck the two were in rammed a state police cruiser. Both 25-year-old Kadar Bailey of Gardner and 18-year-old Ambrosia Farr of Oakland have died. Police spokesman Steve McCausland said police were called Friday afternoon looking for a vehicle involved with daytime burglaries. He said the shooting occurred after the truck encountered along Arnold Road intentionally rammed the police cruiser. Bailey, who was driving, died, and the woman transferred to the hospital in critical condition. McCausland says the officers involved were placed on administrative leave with pay. The officers were not injured. The Attorney General's office will investigate the use of deadly force by police officers, as is required by law. The New Brunswick government is set to introduce new legislation giving the province's municipalities greater autonomy. The government source says legislation will be tabled this week to modernize the Municipalities Act and the Community Planning Act. While work to update the legislation has been underway for years, the Gallant government made new legislation a platform commitment. The source says the legislation will give local governments increased flexibility and greater autonomy, with specific powers to encourage economic development and job creation. The Community Planning Act is expected to update requirements for planning and development. State police have tentatively identified a man killed in a fire that destroyed a log home in York over the weekend. Workers at a nearby Veterans of Foreign Wars hall reported the fire Saturday morning. The building was engulfed in flames when firefighters arrived. State officials say a body was found in the rubble of the home on Saturday afternoon. Investigators say the body is probably that of the owner, 64-year-old John Herron. An autopsy will be performed this week. Finally, in the news this hour, the Canadian dollar is worth 76.45 cents U.S. this morning. That is up 3/100ths of a cent from Friday afternoon. The loonie is now exactly 2 cents higher than it was at the beginning of the year. The U.S. dollar worth $1.30, 0.81 Canadian. You've just been uploaded on the X.